So some people have very many questions to answer. Those who call themselves Egyptian scholars, e.g. Mr. Hawass himself. If Mr. Hawass can kindly show us, based on, say, a phonetic variation, how the word Mutu in his language connects to his ancestors. Because I can tell you that Mutu is the father patriarch of the Bantu people. So how does the word Mutu, Ramut, fit in Afro-Asiatic? If you have even seen parallels in the Nuer language, which is Nilotic, how does this then, as a core vocabulary, how does it match up to comparative linguistics? How does this match up to the current inhabitants of Egypt, who are the ancient elites? I'm not talking about the aboriginal ones, because there's two different categories, okay? You should be able to show us how this in your language has morphed or has become, a person in your language. You should be able to show that. Bantus can show it. Even some Afro-Asiatics can show it. Like the Hausa. Mutum is a person in Hausa, okay? Now, also in ancient Akkadian, you have the word for a husband or a warrior is Mutu, M-U-T-U. Okay? Now, we all know also that Mutu is the father patriarch of the Bantu people. That's who he is. Mutu is the father patriarch of the Bantu people. Right? So anyone who takes on that precedent of calling themselves Mutu, okay, says, I am a child of Mutu or Muntu or Kintu. So does that mean that the plural for the word for a person in ancient Egyptian, does that mean the plural was Bantu? Oh, ancient Egyptian, oh, elite ancient Egyptians, you have a lot to answer and you're hiding a lot. There's a lot you're hiding. Tell me how this term applies in your language. Surely, something as simple as the name for a person should not change. Okay, and I'm just scratching the surface of it. Just scratching the surface. Now, if you can see that you find the Hausa language call themselves Mutum, the Akkadians call themselves Mutu for the wife, for a husband, a man, or a warrior. Bantus call themselves Mutu. How then is this ancient Egyptian language Afro-Asiatic? And this actually is from this is from Fergus Sharman, okay? Fergus Sharman, okay? And it's his book talks about the parallels between Bantu and ancient Egyptian. Let me see, do I have the book? Hang on a second. Okay, so the book is Linguistic Ties Between Ancient Egyptian and Bantu by Fergus Sharman. For me, this is just a smoking gun. The name for a person, okay? There's no way that you'll find in my language that I call myself, that my ancestors called themselves people. There's no way. Or humans. There's no way. Human is a European term. Alright? And there are so many other cultures that talk about a migration out of Egypt. So let me give you a history lesson real quick, because I seem to be going back and forth. My people, when the European anthropologists came, we told them we came out of Misri. We didn't use the word Egypt. We said Misri. And we ran out of Egypt because we were enslaved when the red-skinned people attacked us. Now, for them to be able to say red skin, now please believe me that there are yellow bones and red bones in my tribe. There are. But for them to say red skinned people, meaning they were distinctly different from the locals that lived in Egypt then, that seems too much a sudden invasion. Now, if you go to the Kalenjin, who are Nilotes, they talk about a migration out of Egypt. They call it Kajipta. If you talk to the Merus, the Embus, the Kikuyus, all right, the Abasuba, the Korea, they will tell you about a migration out of Egypt, the Akamba. And that's not all, because West Africa have their own migration stories. Now, if we say that we sub-Saharan Africans, okay, Bantus especially, that this language, just like Fergus Sharman says, the ancient Egyptian is a Congo-Niger language, just like Fergus Sharman says. Now, then we should be able to find parallels between my language and ancient Egyptian. So, tune in for part 3. It's coming, and I'll show you the parallels, more parallels, other than the word for a person. I'll show you parallels for the concept of copulation, the concept of an old man, a king, the idea of a pharaoh or a canal. They're just still the same, and they seem to be heavily decorated with Bantu words. But that does not mean that I'm taking away from the Nilotes or the Afro-Asiatics that belong to Africa. Okay, I'm not taking away from them too, because they did, but then they were always given credit. Bantus were never. So I don't want to come off as biased, but ancient Egyptian is hiding a lot, and it's hiding Black history. Tune in for part 3. Toodles!